Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Master of Waves titled 12th of Goa. And if we switch over to here we have ourselves a track on YouTube. We're going to listen through it from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. What is this track about? Oh okay, we've got ourselves a little bit of a radio static, a bit of TV stuff going on here. That's cool. That's cool, no issues with that. Oh, okay. We look like we're in for a bit of a ride here, don't we, ladies and gents? Oh, we got some weird vocal takes here. Are those vocals or synths? I'm not really sure how to take this. It's very unsettling, isn't it? Oh, damn, dude. Coming in with the early 2010s dubstep with those synths, man. It's excellent. I'm not really going to comment much on the video here. Everyone here is welcome to make their own sort of like piece with that. It's a hell of a time by the looks of it. I mean, I dig it, don't get me wrong. I'm just not that qualified to talk about video production. But the audio production is sensational. It's very, very clear and pristine in terms of audio quality. Interesting combination of elements here from the sort of trippy sort of like wow synth on top and the kicks and drums. Not sure what the werewolf has to do with it, but like I'm not gonna ask too many questions. It's nice to have the boom boom boom. It's like a string instrument or something like that, sampled across these sort of more sort of traditional sort of percussive elements there. A nice contrast to what we had before with the really big sounding kicks and snares. Oh no, maybe they did there, but just a little more filtered and sort of a little bit more of a reverb chain to them, you know? Oh, a slight change to the groove, a little bit of an adjustment there. Nice way of keeping things fresh for the listener. And back into this motif here with the root note dubstep oscillators. And a sort of really unsettling kind of lead synth on top that's making some sort of majorish kind of overall harmony there in regards to the coloration. I kind of like how unusual it is, if I'm honest with you. I've got thee. There you go. Smashed it. No, I really enjoyed that. My time with that. It was for an instrumental. It was incredibly engaging. You know, like very great first impression of Master of Waves and what they're all about. Because this is the conclusion of my review of 12th of Goa by Master of Waves. I'm not sure what the story is. They got changed into different outfits. Maybe they were trying to be, you know, auditioning for something like that and they had to find a specific style. And then they had like the rave lights and all that with the werewolf. And then there was a bill at the end. There was some stuff I probably missed because I was sort of paying more attention to the music than the video, but nonetheless, it was an audio-visual feast. There was a lot to appreciate there, and I do, as a general rule, enjoy most of what I sort of heard today. In fact, I actually enjoyed all of it. I don't really have any massive complaints about the track. Obviously, there were no vocals, but the fact that there were those lead parts and little sort of variations of that on the octave range in the middle part, it really, it was special because it kept me engaged the whole time. And at 2 minutes 30, that's not a long track, but you don't want to take for granted that the listener will have that 2 minutes 27, you know? So kudos to Master of Waves for making it so that it was engaging throughout by varying the different rhythms, having a sort of really sort of unusual sort of synth kind of synthy sort of leadish kind of warp modulation at the start, the warped sort of chopped parts there that were in some sort of a unusual time signature. My brain was saying like 11/8 or something like that. We had some polyrhythms or polymeter stuff going on there that was kind of refreshing, because I don't get a lot of that nowadays. Typically you just have people going for that kind of, I don't know, that 4/4 the whole entire way through. And to be fair, I mean, we had that for most of the rest of it with Master of Waves, but just to have a really sort of engaging, unusual sort of intro like that is sensational. To then come into stylings of the early 2010s, sort of like EDM era, was really nice, and it was like a home for me, because I do really enjoy that kind of music. I genuinely enjoy it. It's a fantastic time with this act. I genuinely had a great time listening to both sections there. It was nice to have that contrast between the middle bit with sort of the pluck sort of string stuff, the more sort of conservative percussion bits, and the changes in the grooves there, going from like a offbeat accent to maybe like a quarter note sort of beat sort of groove there for the second half, and things getting a little bit sort of lower creative with the 16th and the triplets, with the rhythms and the dragging of some of those hits. And yeah, just going back to simplicity of the wow, that droning kind of synth on top of the reverberating sort of bass line, and just again the chord note drums to sort of cater us out. It was fantastic. There was absolutely no filler. Really nice and smooth to listen to. On all, a fantastic first impression again. It was nice and colorful with an almost majorish tonality there, despite the unsettling sort of like harmonies and sequencing we had at the beginning there with those vocal melodies and those chop bits. But I don't necessarily mind that. It kind of showed itself visually to be sort of an unsettling sort of psychedelic experience. So for that to continue through, and the music made a lot of sense. I also think that in addition to that, we had a wonderful effort of just sort of keeping the accompaniment or the arrangement minimalist, having a simple structure to follow along to with that 2 minutes 27. And we also, not only that, but also managed to nail the post-production recording, mixing and mastering with those vocal takes. I've got the, those really kind of twisted, sort of mucked up. I mean, to be fair, I said there weren't any vocals. Where the I've got the is the kind of transitional devices. I did hear that part there. And it was nice to have that little break there in between the various parts there, just to sort of like freshen up the palette for the listener and keep them wondering what's going on. Like, what have you got? You know what I mean? What have you got? I like that the composer is inviting the listener to ask questions there. I think that's really cool. And I think in addition to all this, just we have, nice and wide in the stereo feel with little bits of range there with the vocals coming in those quiet bits in the center, and then everything filling out the sides. The instruments or the synth, drums, vocals, everything was filtered and EQ'd really well, with little bits of reverb on some of those snare hits as well that kind of filled up ambience there. A little bit tighter in the middle bit with those sort of more conservative, sort of tightly sort of like strung bits, and the sort of the very precise hits there, with, aside from the occasional drags. And again, great change of pace there, especially with the rhythms as well. I didn't really talk about the rhythms before, but there was a great contrast of rhythms with like the whole tone oscillations in the leads there, to go with the more sort of like stringent 8th and 16th note grooves on the percussion. Nice contrast there. There's so much to appreciate within this composition that I don't think it would have been made better with more vocals. I'm thoroughly satisfied that this is more of an instrumental sort of like vibe than anything else. It does make the listener wonder. I guess I'm a bit over on the place in this conclusion, because I'm kind of finding things that I appreciate as I go along with this, which I kind of guess sort of suggests that there's more to this track than meets the eye. And if you're listening to this for the first time, I'd recommend listening to it on your own as well, by checking out their sort of like social medias and stuff. I usually tell people to do that at the end, but if you don't stay until then, please don't do that, because they're definitely worth your time if you enjoyed this stuff today. But yeah, getting back to the sort of production stuff, nice side chaining of the kicks in production there. The drum parts, the drums were nice and tight. They're working well with the bass. Everything was niching well. There were no resonances in the frequency spectrum. Everything had a gap. The synths up top with the sort of like the bass and filling in the center and the mid, and then this bit of sub bass and kicks in the bottom. Leveling was fantastic, and it was nice and low without pumping. Limiting compression was great, and that's effectively my review of this track by Master of Waves, titled 12th of Goa. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.